and this very big human problem you all seem to put yourself in of, I don't hear my spirit guide's name. Why? What is the problem here? First of all, you make it a problem. A lot of you make it a problem. And second of all, you make it mean something. That if you can't hear it, then it means something, you see. And if you don't know the name, then you don't know the guide, you see. So let's talk about it. Welcome back, friends. Orah here for another episode of Spirit Guide Speak. And we are on episode 4. And today we are talking about, how do I know my guide's name? What's my guide's name? Everyone wants to know, what is their name? Especially once you start to kind of get a sense that you have a guide, you kind of want to know their name, right? And it's like it's kind of a funny thing because it's like it somehow verifies, or it's like, okay, this is real. If I know their name, then it feels more real. And DiYeena always has a lot to say about this. So I'm going to keep my section on this one a little bit shorter. So for those who are new, welcome. I actually channel a being named DiYeena from the Pleiadian Family. And she's actually been an instrumental part of this whole series in bringing in some fascinating information from the perspective of a guide of how to really have a relationship that is nourishing and fulfilling in the unseen world, right? On our unseen team, and how to do that responsibly and consciously. So that's what we're really diving into through this whole series. And you can always catch up on episodes that you've missed. There's a link down below in the description there. So go ahead. We're going to jump in here. So the first thing I want to say here about names is, you've got names, and then you've got titles, and then you have certain guides that are very specific. So why is it that some guides don't present a name and others do? And some are very clear. I am whatever it might be, Metatron, or we all have these different experiences, or not all of us, but if you do have an experience with a guide, sometimes you hear a name and sometimes you don't. And there's different reasons for that. And so first of all, you have to understand that guides really are no different than having a body and being in a person. Like, it's like you have your own personality, your own likes and dislikes and preferences. And oftentimes our guides are actually resonant with your personality. They're resonant with your personality. So those of you who know me personally know me that I'm pretty hilarious. I'm pretty funny. I'm tooting my own horn there. But if you ask my friends, they're like, what do you love about Ava? She's like, oh, she always makes me laugh. Or her laugh, just my laugh in general, is it's from my dad's side of the family, very loud, very boisterous, very like, just, it's a lot for some people. But I always am here to bring levity and lightness and a sense of humor to the perspective. And I'm the first one to crack a joke in the room, especially if it's an uncomfortable room, right? And so I just have that inherent in my DNA. It's coded in. Humor is coded in. So my guides match that. Like, one of my guides is DiYeena, right? And DiYeena's hilarious. She's this Pleiadian jokester, like comedian, and she's just like this blend of all these different things, but very lighthearted, very funny, right? And then I have another one named that I relate to very personally, who she has this crown that she wears on her head because she knows she's supposed to wear the crown, because when you're the main guide, I guess you're supposed to wear a crown. I don't know. And she's like, but I don't really need the crown, because it's just, she has this crooked crown, and she's the first one to be cracking a joke. And she also is like so not serious. So my guides match my personality of not taking things too seriously and not taking things too formally either. So my guides are happy with a cup of tea, right? My guides are happy with a candle lit with the right intention in my heart. It doesn't have to be, this big ceremony around. And for others, it does. Others do like that. So it's also really paying attention to what your particular guides, how they roll. And so that said, when it comes to names, sometimes you have to take into account their personality. And sometimes if they're more serious, they may be like, please address me as such and such, and they may be very clear in that request. I liken it also to, mothers may relate to this, or even fathers who also get messages from their unborn children. I mean, I heard the names of all 3 of my kids when they were in my womb. Like, they just came to me in dreams, or just randomly, like I just heard them. I heard their names. My middle daughter, she literally spelled it out for me in the dream. She's like, this is my name. This is how you spell it. And so if it's important to a soul for you to know their name, they're going to share it with you in some way. And so for you to be open and receptive to that is really the main thing. And you have to know how you receive, which we talked about in previous videos. So go check that out if you want. But that's really important, is to know, how do I receive these messages? What's my primary way? And once you're familiar with that and you start receiving the messages, is to actually, well, trust it, trust what you're hearing, right? But be available to actually hear the name, to see the name, to just have an intuition on what the name is, if that's important. The other thing is, and DiYeena said that I'm sure she'll have something to say about this as well, is that most guides don't actually care what name you pick. They're like, you pick a name that feels loving in your heart. Just pick one. Why is that? Why wouldn't they just tell you their name? Well, for one, you have to keep in mind, especially if the guide is a human, like is someone who's like walked the human plane before and is maybe a family member or somebody that's close to you or on a soul level that you've just kind of swap out. You're like, okay, I'll be the guide this time and you be the guide next time, kind of thing. And you have a very intimate relationship, but you also have experienced in the physical and like you're kind of walking the journey together. A lot of times they're like, what name do you want? Because you're infinite in your multidimensionality and in your timelines, and you have different names in most of these. Not everyone has different names. Some are like one name, all timelines, done, but most of us, we change our name, right? We change our bodies. We go from male to female to male, all these kind of things, because we want to experience the full spectrum of it all. So all of this plays into it. So they're like, why would I limit it to one name? Like, just pick one. Like, we're hanging out in all these different places. What name do you want to call me? So pick the one that feels sweet for you. So the message here is, don't stress about it too much. Don't make that the main thing of whether or not I'm hearing my guides or I'm connected to my guide, and say, well, I don't know their name, so I must not be connected to them. I can't hear them saying their name, so it must not be of any kind of significance, or that I must not actually have a relationship with them. I don't know the names of most of my guides. That's okay. I've got protectors that I know are badasses that have swords and are ready to just slice whatever's in the field the second I ask for it. I don't know their names. I just know that they're great and they're really helpful and they have never let me down, right? And so you don't have to know their name to be in a really beautiful relationship with them. And you can pick a name. You can just say, how about I call you this or that, and just see how it feels. And it should just feel light and joyful in your heart, or it should feel how it's meant to feel for you. For some people maybe it feels reverent and honoring and precious, right? And so just feeling into your personality, how you roll. Like, are you more serious? If you're more serious, you probably have guides that are more serious. And if you're more serious in that way and you like the ceremony and the rigmarole, you can probably assume that your guides roll that way too, And in that case, you can ask them, what do you prefer I refer to you as? How would you like to be called? And actually offer that up, because sometimes they really do have an opinion. It's the same as humans. Some have a very strong opinion. Oh no, you have to address me as this. And others are like, call me whatever you want, or if you have a nickname for them. Some are really like, oh, please don't call me that nickname. I hate that. And others are like, sure, whatever nickname you want to call me, it's great with me, And so it's the same way. Like, we're all different. We're all built differently. So I'm really feeling like DiYeena has some 2 cents to put on this one. So I'm going to let her come through and give us a little bit of a story on what she's got to say about guides and names and all the things, because it's kind of a fun question. All right. So for those who have been around the block a time or two here with DiYeena, you know that she loves tea and she loves to have a little tea ceremony here with all of you. So if you have a cup of tea or you want to push pause and make a quick cup of tea, I encourage it. I encourage you to grab a cup of tea, ideally herbs that are grown locally in your area, on your land. If you have land, or you have neighbors, just see if they, or just grow some in a pot. I've got some peppermint grown just right outside here. Peppermint's really easy to grow. Basically, it's like a weed, so it's a really easy one for this climate, at least. So just grow something. You just put some herbs in a pot and just use them for this tea ceremony because it's really sweet and it anchors you into the circuitry of where you're living. And it really connects your magnetism and it strengthens your field, your energetic field in a really beautiful way that allows us to connect all of us together in a stronger way because we're actually connected into the heartbeat of Mother Earth in a deeper way when we are circulating in that frequency of receiving and giving from the place where we're residing. So that's a little bit of a story on why we do the tea. And I think she just likes tea, to be honest. So I'm going to go ahead and go right out and put you in touch with DiYeena, the Pleiadian family, and we'll see what she has to say on this topic of guides and their names. Here we go. Greetings, this is DiYeena, the Pleiadian family. We are here first and foremost to bring you love, also to sip the tea. We are eavesdropping a little, so we hear all the story. She's right on track here with the story, and most of you know the story. So if you're new here, well, here we go. Pleiadian tea ceremony. Here we go. It's not too fancy. Here, especially when we're drinking it out of something you can knock on and it doesn't even break, you see. So this is good. I think she does it because we complain about it being cold if she doesn't do it that way. You see, we'll say, oh, chitty-chatty here, chatting too much, and now the tea is cold, you see. So she'd make sure to not have the cold tea. So here we go. You can raise your cup, put in the chat, where are you coming from? What are you drinking today? And we like to hear all these different recipes. If you have a good one, you see, put it in the chat. You see, what is a good little elixir that you like to create for yourself? Maybe you get creative in the kitchen, you see. We like to hear. So let's see what we have today. Let's raise our cups together, open our hearts together, and see where we are. Oh, it's very minty. I believe it's a mint. Very, very nice. Okay. Oh, blessings, dear children. Here we are talking here today about the naming of the spirit guides here. And this very big human problem you all seem to put yourself in of, I don't hear my spirit guide's name. Why? What is the problem here? First of all, you make it a problem. A lot of you make it a problem. And second of all, you make it mean something. That if you can't hear it, then it means something, you see. If you don't know the name, then you don't know the guide, you see. So let's talk about it, you see. So much of what Ava has said here is true, you see. We don't really care, most of us here. Most of us don't care because there's infinite names. The ones that care are ones that are more an energetic imprint or a title or like an archangel or something that has a little bit more finality to it. They're coming in these archetypical energetics that hold a frequency where it does kind of hold in a particularity across timelines, you see. The ones that care less are the ones that are more personal for you. They're actually personal guides. So they're family and friends and lovers and ones that you've agreed with. You've made agreements that maybe they've been with you on this side and now they're on the other and they stay close. You see, that happens a lot, you see. In which case it's easy to know them as the guide because you've already been in communion in the same timeline. So it's easy to connect. You say, oh, I know what this feels like. And there they are right there. I can feel it. So you're not questioning their name. The ones that get really tricky are the ones that are oftentimes in your lineage, but many, many generations back. So you don't know them personally. But perhaps they are the first one in the lineage before a particular pattern emerged, for example. Or they're the ones that broke a pattern, or there's a certain reason why they are holding in your lineage, oftentimes to clear frequency. They're there to help clear frequency, to hold in that clarity. And so they may be hanging around. You're like, well, why is this guide here? I can feel them, or I can sense them, or see them even, you see. And sometimes if you ask them, if you can have if you're in connection with them, whether you're seeing, hearing, sensing, knowing, whatever your receiving way is, if you are in the connection, but you just can't hear the name, ask. Simply ask it, you see. You can even do intuitive writing where you just write it out, you see. But you have to get connected in. So we can take you in, see through it. It's very easy. It's very easy, you see. That the easiest way to do is to connect into your higher self, you see. So maybe we can post in that we have a meditation we don't have to do in this video. We have one for you so we can give it to you for free or something like this. We'll leave that part for the techies, but we will get it to you somehow, where you can connect into your higher self, because that's the strong line of connection anyway. That's the when you talk about guides, this is the main freeway, or the main pathway, the main interstate to be connected to is your higher self. Because when you are able to be in that frequency, then any other guides that are supporting in that field are much easier to tune into and also differentiate in frequency. You can say, well, this feels very different from me. I know this is another being in my field that is here of love to support. And when you feel those frequencies, or you know those frequencies, or you see or hear, or just have a sense of, or maybe you don't receive it at all, but you just have a curiosity and you say, well, I'm told we all have them, so what the heck, you see. We're joking around, but you just kind of are praying about it, or you want to know about it, but you aren't quite tuned in yet. Wherever you're at on the spectrum, you can still use this. So you get into your higher self, first of all, because that expands your awareness just in of itself. When you're connected into your higher self, all this means is you are aware of more of your frequency. You're aware of more of your multidimensionality. So it's not like you're communicating to the big guy or big gal upstairs as a separate being from you, this meat suit down here. You can experience it that way if you like, if that's helpful for you, but it's not really an accurate representation of what's going on, my dears. So what's actually happening is you're expanding in, turning on the light switch, so to speak, on these other subtle layers of your existence that are always there. It's always there. You're simply tuning into what's there. And so when you tune into the moreness of you, the more of who you are, then all of a sudden, all of these frequencies are available, and you're in the field. You're in the greater field of you. And in the greater field of you, you also have access to your guides that are surrounding you, that all the time, that are with you, you see, that are there for you, that are there helping in all the different ways. And it's not like you just have one or two, you have many. You all have many, you see. You usually have one or two primaries, but you all have at least a handful, you see. Because you have angels there that are supporting in different ways, and protectors and all of these things, you see. And some are just hanging out, wanting to see the show, you see. Hanging out, wanting to see the show. So there's many, you see. And the ones that are for you, the ones that are for your highest good, you see, will feel loving, as we've talked about before. And you simply can ask. It does not have to be complicated. And sometimes you will be connected enough to have a conversation and say, well, they'll say something like, well, what do you want to call me? And sometimes you'll actually hear a name or see a name, or you'll just think a name and say, well, I'm hearing the name David or something like that, right? And you say, well, how do I know? Then your mind gets involved and say, well, how can I trust it? How do I know it's not my ego? All of these mind things start to come after we get the message. And we try to trick ourselves out of it. Say, well, it probably wasn't that, you see. Go with it, my dears. Go with it. If you hear a name, go with it, you see. You're not wrong. You've just taught yourself to believe yourself that you can be wrong when it's not really what's going on. It's not really what's going on. So that's part of it here. And then you also have guides that really like to be in the mystery, that aren't really there to be named. They're there to support in the frequency, but the name actually detracts from the mission. If you were to know the name, you might say, especially for those that are getting support from some of these more, what you call your famous ones, you see, the ones that you know of in your world, that have a little bit more recognition, that are more well known. Those type of say, oh, well, I've got Jesus hanging out in my field, or I've got Metatron, or I've got Archangel Gabriel just hanging out there all the time, or whatever, or Kuan Yin is with me, or whatever the case may be. Sometimes that does no good, because then you get a bigger ego, and also it just blocks the frequency, blocks the flow, the energetic, and the intention of the support in the first place, you see. So some intentionally do not do not show up in the name. They just show up in the frequency of support in the particular way that you are consciously, unconsciously, subconsciously, or pre-agreed to be in relation in that way. It's all frequency, my dears. So you're choosing to activate on these circuitries. And sometimes they desire to be named and well-known and connected in to you in that way because it helps. And sometimes it does not help. So that is why you would hear a name sometimes and not hear a name other times. If you're meant to know the name because it's actually beneficial and helpful for the relationship, you're going to hear a name, my dears. Or you'll hear them say something like, pick one. Pick one. Because that is the thing. Do not let this get in the way of your relation with your guide. Let it be in the play of it. Let it be in the fun of it. Let it be in the levity of it. And if you do not hear a name, say, well, how about if I call you George? Is that okay? Or how about if I call you whatever you like? You see, pick a name. Pick a name that you like to say, that sounds good for you to say, that you like rolling off your tongue, that opens your heart, that gets you feeling sweet, the sweetness of life. Do something that feels expansive in your heart. You see, most are fine with that because they feel the energy that's happening in the frequency. If you're banging your head over a name and you're concerned so much that you're not hearing and you're not receiving and you're getting stuck over it, that's not the intention at all for your guides. That's not what they want for you at all. They want to be in relation. They want to help. They want to be connected to you. They want to feel your love and for you to feel their love. So anything that is going to increase that feeling of love between the two of you, they're game for, my dears. So all it really requires of you is a good go for it, a good try. You see what we say here. It's really opening the heart and really connecting in. If you hear the name, then you can say that particular name because that carries frequency, that carries energy. That's the other reason why you would hear a name, is because the name is the energetic stamp within creation, within the universe. It's like the telephone number. You see, so it is the way that you would dial in and clarify into that particular frequency, into that circuitry. The name does that, you see. So that's an easy way. And that's also why people are like, well, I want to know the name, you see, because there's something in them that knows that the name is the easy way to get into that circuitry. That said, you can get into the circuitry simply by being in your heart and connecting into the field of your guide. And then say, well, how about this name? And then that name gets activated into that circuitry. So you say, well, I can't hear a name specifically. So how about Bob? You see, we're just giving random names here. How about Bob? And your guide says, okay, let's go with Bob. That sounds fun. It's like Bob, 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 Bob. You see, we can have fun with that one, you see. And so then all of a sudden, that frequency of the name Bob, all of a sudden, activates in the hearts between the two of you, and it enlightens, it brings light to the field, to the circuitry, to this circle of love that the two of you create together. And it gets strengthened when you use the name. So if you do not hear a name, just start by calling a name. And if they have a problem with the name, you will know about it. That's the other thing. If you don't hear a name, just pick a name that you like. Say, how about this? And then you wait for any clear sign of otherwise. Then you say, okay, well, that's not it. You see, something will happen. You see, they'll throw something off of your altar if you have an altar, or they'll put something up, or they'll put a clearer name, or you'll hear a different name, or something will, you just be aware. You will get the message very clearly if they're not happy with the name. You see, but most of the time, we're fine with it. We're fine with it. Just pick a name you like and roll with it, my friends. Do not stress over what is the name of my guide. I can't hear it. It's just creating more discord in the union that is meant to be loving. So focus on the love. Focus on the connection of circuitry. And your guides will feel that attempt. They will feel your heart and where your intention is. And when they can feel your intention, they say, wow, this one's really trying for it, you see. They're still opening up their intuitive gifts in different ways. So they're not quite hearing or seeing in the way that they can, or the way that they will, perhaps in a little bit more time. But right now, we really feel their hearts. They're really going for it. They're really trying, you see. That's what they like. They like to see the effort, you see. So we like to see that you want the relationship. And when we will meet you there, we will meet you there. So just go for it. Just try. As soon as you begin this relationship, it's impossible not to have it, you see, because you're tuning in. You're choosing to prioritize it. You're choosing to see it. So that is really it. So don't stress over it. That's the main message here. Let it be. Pick a fun name and go with it. Good. Okay. Well, we'll send you a little blessing that you're able to integrate these frequencies, because this is more than just the information, my dear. This is frequencies of integration, of love in your own being. So blessings to you, dear friend, that you're able to integrate these frequencies from the Pleiadians and from the living Ma frequency. Blessings to you, dear souls. We love you very dearly. We cannot wait to see you again very soon. Blessings, dear ones. I trust that message was exactly what you needed to hear today. And if you liked it, head on over to the website. We have so much more to offer to you. And I will put the link below. I could hear her talking about, I'll have to go back and listen to what she was specifically asking for. But I do remember her saying she wanted to give something to you guys. So I'll make sure you get that. And DiYeena Live is coming up. So we do this live stream every single month. It's an opportunity for you to come in to a very intimate Zoom room where you get to ask DiYeena your own questions and be connected to that frequency every single month. It's a great anchor point for your life to just kind of get that little boost to kind of go on with your day. So come on and join us. We'd love to see you there. And blessings, dear friends. See you next time.